What is going on, everybody? Merry Christmas Eve from everybody here at DSM Media. This is NFL Turf Talk streaming live on our Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter channels. I am one half of your host today, Dylan Davis. You can find me on Twitter at DylanJD98. To my right, my faithful co-host, Scotty. You can find him on Twitter as well at Scotty John. If you guys are new to the channel, make sure you head on over to at DSM_media on Twitter. Hit that follow button first and foremost. We greatly appreciate it. And then while you're on our page, the link tree in our bio will take you to every social media platform we are available on. If you guys want to be interactive throughout this morning's show and every great show we have running through DSM, make sure you hit that subscribe button over on the YouTube channel. Help us get to that 700 subscriber mark. We're 7 short subs away. And this is also the best place to get your thoughts, comments, questions, and concerns pulled up. Yes, sir. Fly, Eagles, fly. This is a rare day here, Scotty, that we actually get to break down an Eagles game on Turf Talk. Obviously, 4:25 game, middle of Christmas Eve. I don't think we're running a DSM pregame live. I don't think people are tuning in for it. Busy with their traveling, families, all that stuff. So we'll get that out of the way today. Eagles, Cowboys talk, best bets. We'll run through the slate, give you our predictions and analysis. But Merry Christmas Eve, man.
Yeah, Merry Christmas Eve. It's a great day, man. Yeah, we got the nice setup here. We're celebrating the great holidays that we have upon us here, and it's a great time for sports, right? We got the Eagles, like you said, taking on the Cowboys today. There's some other okay matchups. I don't think any compares to that matchup, but even with Minshew at quarterback, I don't think any of the other. Yeah, it's not a great slate for Christmas, but nonetheless, we'll dig into it. But Merry Christmas Eve, I guess I would say. Happy holidays. Merry Christmas Eve to you as well, my brother. And I'm certainly happy to be here with you.
Let's do it, man. Let's start with Thursday Night Football. Jags, Jets. We previewed this one pretty in-depthly on Thursday. Zach Wilson, Trevor Lawrence, number 1 versus number 2 overall pick. Both teams fighting for a playoff spot in the AFC. Obviously, the Jags are a little bit more focused on their division, while the Jets are just trying to survive and get and kind of sneak into that final wild card spot at the end of the year. And boy, oh boy, did the New York Jets fan base and Zach Wilson start the weekend out in rough fashion. He gets booed damn near every play. Gets booed at the end of every possession. Ultimately, Scotty, they never benched him. Essentially a benching, right? I forget the quarterback's name.
Chris Streveler,
whoever it was. Got out of his hoodie and sweatpants that morning. He wasn't even on the active roster. And to me, man, this game, we can talk about the Jag side and kind of the impressive run that they're on right now. Yeah. Doug Peterson has his team playing at to possibly make the playoffs and win their division. But I'm looking at Zach Wilson. I'm looking at the Jets. And I think we're in agreement that if Mike White wasn't injured, Zach Wilson would still not have his job back just yet, if at all, for the as the quarterback of this Jets team. But with Mike White being injured, he gets a chance. Last week, they lose the game versus the Lions at the end with a 40-yard 4th down touchdown from Goff, right? But he throws for over 300, explosiveness, getting the wide receivers involved. Scotty, he looks like he doesn't belong in the league. He doesn't look like a 7th round pick, let alone the 2nd overall pick in the NFL draft, man. To me, his career is over in New York. I don't know how you play him next week. I don't know if you picked up on this. Obviously, we had CJ Uzomah yards as a prop for one of our best bets. Obviously, he got that, a 30-yard pass and catch from Streveler, right?
Yeah, right.
It was such a poorly thrown ball. Like, it's a walk-in touchdown if it's on the money. He underthrows him. Uzomah has to dive back towards the line of scrimmage. But yet, the whole place is erupting in cheers.
It's electric.
It's just a positive play because that's how bad Zach Wilson and this offense was, man.
Yeah, and I can tell you this, man. I can do without watching Chris Streveler as well, right? Like, I'm not trying to see that on a nationally televised game, let alone what Zach Wilson was doing, because I found myself at the end of that game. I'm like, damn, it is like kind of refreshing. I'm not even a Jets fan, and it's kind of refreshing. Chris Streveler in here, like just running and the ball a bit, grinding his body out, bro, getting smashed out there, like not sliding. They just sent him in there as like, just do anything, get us something, right? Because Zach Wilson, he looks lost out there, and the boos, obviously, it was weighing on him. I think maybe he's able to do that against Detroit because he's not playing in New York. Like maybe that is what it is, right? I don't know. I agree with you. I think he's done there. And he could quite honestly be done in the NFL. He looks like a kid that is similar to Jalen Reagor, man. Like just doesn't look like he wants to be out there, and then 2 is worried about keeping his job. Like he just goes out there. It's almost like just throwing the ball up, bro, into like quadruple coverage. Like I mean, yeah.
There were about 2 or 3 situations in which he did the same thing, but the one that sticks out the most is the deep ball to Garrett Wilson. Dude, he's got this rocket arm, right? We all know that his pro day throw. That's what garnered all this attention for him, right? His deep ball is horrendous. It is an absolute rainbow. Takes 19 years to get to the target. Meanwhile, 2 safeties and a corner are all just watching it come to them, throwing into triple coverage across the field, across his body while he takes a hit. He's horrible. I'm sorry if this is harsh. I'm sorry that he's battled injuries and he's young. This kid, we know about the attitude and accountability issues. That's what got him benched in the first place after his poor play. He gets a chance to win his job back. He showed some progression last week through the air with his yardage, all that stuff. They almost beat Detroit. And then he takes 1 step forward and he takes 19 steps back, dude.
Yeah,
the offense was so bad. And then the one announcer, the college guy with Al Michaels,
Kirk Herbstreit.
He's making excuses, talking about Detroit, New York wants to win games by stopping the run and getting off the field. Bro, they gave up 1 touchdown. What are you talking about? He's saying that, the Jets are behind. They're behind because their quarterback can't move the ball down the field.
Yeah.
Like, it actually works me up how bad he is, dude.
Thank
God we didn't lay his yardage.
Yeah, I know. Thank God. 92 yards, an interception. He was sacked 3 times. He's 50% completion percentage. I mean, yeah, it looked toxic out there, right? Like, it looked like the receivers were getting upset. Like, I don't know what you do there, right? That's your number 2 pick in the draft. And the thing about it is, like, we looked at Jalen Hurts last year, and we could come out of that season last year. We made the playoffs. He did get us to the playoffs. Mm-hmm. He had things that we looked at and we were like, he can build on this. Maybe he can be good. Maybe, right? There's none of that with Zach Wilson. There's no signs of life in his game, and that's what worries me the most. I want to flip it to the Jags side and ask you this. First of all, ETN, he's explosive. I watched him at Clemson, obviously, but he came in injured. Didn't get to see him. I haven't seen him much this year.
He's a better pure runner than he initially appeared. Excuse me.
And he can break one off at any time. That on top of being a pure runner. But Trevor Lawrence, has he elevated? Is he in that elite class now? Because I see a lot of talk about it on social media that he's getting himself into that class with Herbert and Allen and. I'm not even going to say Mahomes. That's ridiculous.
Right. That's the next tier. But I'm not quite ready to put him there yet. But he's getting there. Like I think you said it perfectly. He's approaching that territory, right? And obviously next year, when you add Calvin Ridley to this offense, and another year with Doug Peterson, I think he could and very well will be on that level. But I mean, why? Right? Because he's had a 4-week stretch, right? Like he was struggling. I think that what did the Jags start off 2-0? And then they lost 5 straight or 6 or whatever it was. Yeah. Now they're on another winning streak. So he's playing at an extremely high level. Like where he's playing right now, yes, is on that tier. But is he in totality, body of work, futurist? No, I don't think he's there quite yet with the Burrow and Herberts of the world. But he's definitely trending that way.
I see people like pointing out they're saying that in 5 years it's going to be Lawrence, Allen, and Mahomes. They're going to be the face of the league. Maybe it could be. I just don't know.
Highly disrespectful to Joe Breezy,
jumping the gun that much. Yeah, Joe Burrow. You know what I mean?
You want to have your thoughts. You want to have your thoughts about Justin Herbert and the lack of playoff success or getting to the playoffs and all that stuff. You have that right, but to just be like Trevor Lawrence is going to jump past
Right.
Joe Burrow when Joe Burrow could very well make his second Super Bowl appearance this season. I want to flip back real quick to the other side, to the quarterback and Zach Wilson. Here's the problem that they have right now. Not just like the eye test, you see it, the lack of accountability. We know all that. The problem is, you know how I feel about Mike White. Like anybody that thinks Mike White is like the future or the answer in New York. No, let's just put it plain. No, same thing with Brock Purdy and San Fran. Just no. However, they win that game with Mike White. They probably beat the Lions with Mike White. And why the last 2 weeks, this Jets team with this defense, with young weapons offensively, that was rolling and looking like they're going to make the playoffs for the first time in a very long time. Why, oh, why did I and so many other people hammer the Lions and say, feed me the Jags? Because Zach Wilson was under center. Yeah. And that's a problem. Think about it. We're not talking about the Jets versus the Chiefs or the Jets versus the Bengals or the Chargers. No, we're talking about the Lions, who are hot at the moment, but the Lions and the Jags.
Yeah.
And I said, feed me both of them, because Zach Wilson is the common denominator here. And they're 0-2 over the stretch. They probably win both games if Mike White's playing quarterback.
Yeah, I agree, man. Any competent quarterback. I mean, maybe if you put Chris Streveler in at the beginning of the game, who knows? I mean, at least he moved the football. Zach Wilson was going nowhere fast, man. It was bad.
He was going somewhere. He was just going backwards.
Back to the bench. Yeah, it was terrible. That's a frustrating football to watch from a Jets perspective. Yeah. You talked about the Jets
from a
fans,
football fan perspective.
Yeah, rightfully so, like booing everything, because they've probably they've obviously been seeing this a longer time than what we had to just on that Thursday night football game. So kudos for them for dealing with it for so long.
In that weather too, Jesus Christ.
But yeah, oh my God.
Anyway, let's get into this, game, man. Let's get into this Eagles-Cowboys preview to kick things off here on today's Christmas Eve slate. We're going to go rapid fire. We're going to pick out and talk about a couple other interesting games, playoff implication games throughout today's show. But this is the meat of today's episode, Scotty. Gardner Minshew getting the start in place of an injured Jalen Hurts. We all know he has a shoulder sprain on that right throwing arm. Gardner comes in more than capable of stepping in for a game or two and finding a way to win. Obviously, we saw him versus a lesser talented Jets team last year really tear them up. Dallas Goedert had a good day. Miles Sanders, nonetheless, came away with a win. Obviously, Eagles need to win one of their final 3 games to secure the NFC East and the number 1 seed in the NFC. If they can win today, that would do so, obviously. What's your initial thought process? I know earlier on in the week, we were just saying, kind of making a joke of it, just don't let it happen. Just if you're a Cowboys fan, if you're a part of that organization, do not let them come in your house on Christmas Eve to secure the division and the 1 seed with the backup quarterback, right? Yeah. But I see a lot of, and to Phil's comment there, time to smash the Cowboys, I do see a lot of rah Eagles fans today, and they're waking up, and I don't care who's playing quarterback. We're winning this game.
Yeah.
And we'll get into it. They definitely have a solid chance with Minshew under center to be competitive and maybe win this game. But am I confident in it? I don't think I'm confident. Where's your mind at right now?
I think the first thing with Eagles fans and kind of where we're at today, one, we don't really have anything to lose in this game. Like, if we lose, Jalen Hurts didn't play. If we win, you lost to Gardner Minshew. Like, it's as simple as that. And I'll be honest, the Cowboys were in a similar situation going into that game in Philly when they had Cooper Rush at quarterback. They didn't really have anything to lose. Yes, they came in talking a lot of stuff, right, about how Cooper Rush will be able to beat the Eagles. But at the end of the day, you're not losing sleep because you don't have Dak Prescott out there. Right. That's how I feel about Jalen Hurts. But what I will say is the more you dig into this game, the less it looks like it's a crazy idea that the Eagles can win this game.
Oh, no, I don't.
The Cowboys, the Cowboys are not at their strongest right now. They're at a very weak spot as far as the way they're playing right now. So like, from the outside, from the outside looking in, if you're not an Eagles fan, you're not a Cowboys fan, you haven't watched the Eagles all season, you watch a lot of the Cowboys on national television, right? I feel you look at this game, you're like, man, there's no way the Cowboys can lose this. They got Dak Prescott. They're fully healthy. They got all their players. Micah Parsons, Trayvon Diggs is playing. There's no Jalen Hurts. It takes away so much from the Eagles. He's an MVP candidate. So I think from that perspective, from the perspective of like the Cowboys side of everything, right? They have to win this game. Like, this isn't us coming in and saying we got to win this game to win the division and get the 1 seed. No. We don't have to do that. They have to win this game to even have a chance at elevating themselves in the playoff situation in the division. So all the pressure is on the Cowboys. They're at home, right? So that's why I look at it from the Eagles' perspective as a fan. I've got nothing to lose today. Like, I really have nothing to lose. I'm going to laugh at you if Gardner Minshew beats you.
Oh, it's
because
a win.
If I'm Micah Parsons, I come into this game, I'm not letting Gardner Minshew beat me, right? He's talked about the system, all of that. I'm not letting Gardner Minshew beat me.
Exactly. And I want to explain that when it gets to game time, my stress level will obviously be up, and I'll turn into the ultimate fan, right? And I'll, but for the time being, right now, it is a low stress, really no lose situation for me. Do I want them to wrap it up with 2 games to spare? 110%. Does it make the Saints and Giants game become a little more? Yeah, but we talked about this on, the other day. Whoever thinks that they're going to lose the last 3 of the games after going 13-1, we can't probably have a serious conversation. The Eagles will win this game if they do 3 things. Okay? If they can stop the run, you have and stop's a strong word. Slow down. If you can slow down Tony Pollard and Ezekiel Elliott and make Dak Prescott drop back 40, 45 times and beat you without making mistakes, that's step 1. 2, the Eagles have to be able to run the ball. I know Gardner Minshew can air it out. He's got a little bit of an arm from his time in Jacksonville. Him and Goddard had a big connection. Goddard went for over 100 and a touchdown or 2 against the Jets last year. He looks great in practice, but they have to start run first. I'm looking at Miles Sanders today specifically. Number 3, they have to take care of the football. And I'll tell you why I'm optimistic in that area. Gardner Minshew's touchdown to interception ratio in his time in Jacksonville, Scotty? 41-12. He takes care of the football. It's an underrated part of his team, to be honest with you. And what has been so successful about Jalen Hurts this year? He's been able to take care of the football while the Eagles defense causes turnovers, correct? So today, I'm looking at the turnover differential, and I'm looking at the running game. Can you run the ball? Can you stop the run? Can Gardner take care of the ball? Yeah. Maybe you make Dak force a mistake because he has to throw the ball 45 times. If they do those 3 things successfully, they will win this game.
Yeah, that's what this game comes down to ultimately. It comes down to the trenches, and that's where the Eagles pride themselves, that defensive line, that offensive line specifically. And same thing with the Cowboys, right? They pride themselves in that defensive line. They pride themselves in that pass rush. And it's going to come down to neutralizing that on both sides, right? You don't want the Eagles to be able to pin their ears back and go after Dak, and the same thing on the other side with Gardner Minshew. So it's going to be about who can establish himself in the trenches early, get that run game going, and then it opens up the rest of the game. Sure. And as far as, what you said, I have it listed here as well as one of my keys to victory, clean football. Who can stay clean, Dak or Gardner Minshew? And look what you just said, the 42 to what? 41 to 12 touchdown interception ratio. Dak, over the last 2 games, 8 touchdowns, 0 interceptions against the Eagles. I should say. Last 2 games against the Eagles, 8 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. Last 4 games, 7 interceptions. So take that with what you will. The Eagles lead the league in turnovers as a whole. So the defense is opportunistic. I just look at this game, man. You look at what's going on with Dallas. You had Dallas last game give up 192 rushing yards to the Jacksonville Jaguars. Jacksonville Jaguars, sure. I just talked about Etienne. He's explosive. He's a good running back. Trevor Lawrence has legs. That's not the Eagles' rushing attack. That's not the Eagles' offensive line that controls things up front. And you look at this offensive line that just got rewarded by all of them going to the Pro Bowl. Yep. They just dropped an album, a Christmas album on your ass too. Fire. And I think these guys are going to come out locked in. I think part of this is what Mika did, right? Like I think he elevated the Eagles' attention. So yeah, we weren't focused on you last week when we were about to play the Bears, but this week I guarantee you, Mailata, Lane Johnson, they're going to be locked in on Mika and DeMarcus Lawrence. They're not going to let them touch Gardner Minshew. It's not happening today, and I think that's going to be the difference. Is all the trash talk. You just see where the Eagles are at and where the Cowboys are at. And why are you worried about us 2 weeks ahead of time? And then you go and lose a game and you end up in this situation. I think the Eagles are going to be extra fired up today.
Yeah, I'm glad you bring that up. And I want to hit on this Minshew point, right? Because I'm intrigued by it a little bit. Obviously, it's not a positive to lose the MVP leader and the leader of your team, right? In Jalen Hurts for this week. But I'm intrigued for two reasons. And how the Eagles come out and play today for Minshew. So on this show, we talk a lot about what with backup quarterbacks, Scotty, backup QB syndrome, right? What does that mean? When backup quarterbacks step in for, they're not more talented. We talked about the Carson Wentz situation and across the board. Like Taylor Heineke's not more talented than Carson Wentz, but what does Washington do? Alter the game plan to benefit Heineke. They run the football. Everyone else around them steps their game up. Nick Foles, Super Bowl. We know this all too well here in Philadelphia, right? I'm looking for that today. You got the backup. Look for everyone else to step their game up. Also, they love this dude. Like Jalen's their guy. There's absolutely, obviously no threat. And the way he's played, there's not even that whisper from 2% of the fan base anymore that's like, oh, the offense would run better with a better passer, right? But they love him, and you hear about them. You hear them talking about him throughout the week in practice, and how locked in he was, and how he's him, right, and how he's the man. And I think they're going to show up in a big way.
I'm telling you, I have this like undermining confidence in Gardner Minshew this week, and there's a lot of things that go into that. It's a lot of what you said about kind of the poise that he's shown in the past. Not only that, the way the teammates buy in. You heard what Dallas Goedert was saying about him after his first practice of the week. You talk about all of that, but then you can take it a step further. It's Christmas, man. Like the vibes, right? Like you can feel the good vibes going into Minshew Mania. It's setting up the stage for Gardner Minshew.
And think about what we're talking about.
He had his college coach's funeral earlier this week, so he's he's hyper focused on that. He wants to impress his coach up in heaven. So like I just feel like there's so many narratives that are feeding into Gardner Minshew.
Look how hyped him coming out and having a decent day after beating the New York Jets last year. Imagine he goes on the road on Christmas Eve and locks up the number 1 seed, beating their arch rival. Imagine what that energy right now. And look what we're talking about. They need one of the last 3. You don't think that they're soaking in this time? Backup QB, us, 5.5, 6-point underdogs, that swing, on the road. Let's go in there and secure this on their turf. It would be picture perfect if that was the outcome today, man. And I'll say one more thing about the Minshew aspect of this game. Last year when Minshew came in, there were, myself included, not because I thought he's better than Jalen Hurts, but Jalen struggling as a passer last year, right? So when you saw Minshew come in and the 40-yard touchdown to Goddard and the 250 passing yards, like, oh my God, like look how this offense runs. I'm interested today to see how the offense looks because he can run a little bit. You're not going to run all the read options. You're not going to run all the RPOs. I bet you they line up under center multiple times throughout this game and play action and get him out of the pocket for a ball down the field, right? So it's just something new and different that I'm looking to see what Nick Sirianni and Shane Steichen come up with to really lock this up, because ultimately you do see the report that came out yesterday by Schefter or this morning that they're already looking at the Saints game next week and Jalen's status is up. No shit, dude. Like we didn't even play this game yet. So why are we focused on his status for next week? Like, come on.
It's all to create panic. That's
but you wrap this up today. I don't got to worry about what Jalen's doing the next 2 weeks.
Yeah, man. I look at Minshew, just to kind of cap off the Minshew talk there, because I know we're spending a good amount of time on him. He's similar to Hurts in a lot of ways as far as being a winner, right? He just has like that leader mentality. You can tell he puts the work in off, on the field, off the clock.
Everybody likes him.
I think I think that's why we feel this way about Minshew, and he's the perfect backup. Like, yes, he's not as talented as Hurts. He's not as mobile as Hurts, but he's a little mobile. He probably doesn't have as good of an arm as Hurts at this point, like the way Hurts is playing this year. But he's still pretty solid, right? He doesn't turn the ball over. Like, it just feels right, and it feels like one of those perfect situations where you're talking about one of the top 3 backup quarterbacks in the NFL this year, and he brings the right style of leadership, the intangibles, I guess is what I'm getting at there with him and Hurts. So it wouldn't be a better backup in this situation, right? You talk about Nick Foles a couple years ago. This feels eerily similar, man, just from what you've seen from Minshew. But yeah, I just wanted to cap that off because I'm excited to see him. It's not that I feel like it sounds like we think like, oh, he's gonna match Hurts or something.
No.
It's not like that. It's not like that.
No,
it's
just
not
that kind of excitement. It's
interesting.
It's different. It's something new, something that it's unknown what comes out of it. And I also think it has a lot to do with the opponent and the situation and what the potential outcome would mean, right? If they were playing today, if this was the Chicago game, we wouldn't be talking about Minshew like this. But this is the fact that if he can go in and beat that team on this stage for this prize, essentially, what that all kind of means. And to wrap up this conversation kind of before we get into our predictions for it, I really do need Cowboy fans and content creators on social media to understand one very specific and important thing. In no way, shape, or form is this game today the same as Sunday Night Football in Philadelphia in week 7 or 8, whenever it was that we played them. Because that's all I'm hearing all week, Scotty, right? Keep that same energy with you. You guys talked up beating Cooper Rush, our backup, now Dax, blah, 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 blah. Well, first of all, hold on. Let's get a couple things straight. You guys started the narrative because Cooper Rush was 3-0 and wasn't turning the football over, that he might be a better fit for your team than Dak Prescott. At that point of the season, that game mattered. Not that this doesn't matter, but that game is a reason why we're in this situation. You understand what I'm trying to say here? Like, if the Cowboys win that game, this game today has very different measures to it. Since it went the other way, now this game, when you just look at the totality of you need 1 and 3, well, this game doesn't mean anything to us. And the QB situation just isn't the same. Your backup had 3 games under his belt. Ours is coming off the couch in 6 days. You know what I mean? Like, Minshew didn't play last week and had a game under his belt. No. So in no way, shape, or form is this situation, this game, the implications of the outcome, are they at all similar to the first matchup versus Cooper Rush? And they're not going to get it. And if they win, they're going to pound their chest, right? If they lose, they'll make some excuse. It'll be the refs. It'll be something. But yeah, I just had to get that out, man.
Yeah, hey, fair enough. I honestly, man, I have some weird confidence in this game, just based on what I've been seeing, everything that's hyped up about the Cowboys and what they do and everything that they're about. It just feels like they want to be the Eagles. Everything they do is just not as good as the Eagles. Like, their pass rush is good, but it's not as good as the Eagles. Like, they get turnovers. Trayvon Diggs is good, but he's not as good as Darius Slay. Like,
their quarterback is good.
He's not as good as Jalen Hurts. It's weird, right? Like, the offense is good, but their offense isn't as clean as the Eagles. Like, the rushing attack is good, but it's not as good as the Eagles.
Dak's averaging 35 points per game since he's come back. Dak Prescott leads the league in interceptions since he's returned. Dak Prescott has lost 2 games since he's returned. And this comment by KC is the entire point that I'm trying to make. They were the ones that were whispering and starting the smoke about maybe Cooper Rush is a better fit. And Scotty, who were the people that came on a podcast and said, as Eagles fans, you're out of your mind? Oh, that would be you and I, right? Because they're just
wrong.
not close.
We might have been wrong. I don't know if at this point this man throws the ball to the other team in his own territory like it's nothing. I mean, if Dak, I like Dak, maybe Dak comes out and looks like a new person today. If Dak comes out and plays like he has since he's returned, he's going to turn the ball over 2 or 3 times today, man. It's as simple as that. Too. You think the Jags pass rush is coming? Well, meet Hassan Reddick, Hargrave, Cox, and BG and Josh Sweat, who are all approaching, if not at double-digit sacks on the season. You talk about a turnover. Can I say one more
thing? Do not let Hassan Reddick outplay Micah Parsons today. Don't let that happen. Just because at the end of the day, do I think that he's a more talented player than Micah? No, I think Micah is on a little bit different level, right? But they want to beat their chest, and we got the defensive player of the year. No, you don't. You just don't anymore. Like the numbers tell you otherwise. The win category tells you otherwise. Everything tells you otherwise. So how do you have the defensive player of the year? So that's all I'm saying. Don't let Hassan Reddick, not have 2.5 sacks, and Micah has 1 QB pressure today on Lane Johnson. He was sick earlier throughout the week. So was Trevon Diggs, but I'm pretty sure they're both a go today.
No way they're missing this game. No way they're missing this game.
He better not miss this game.
They practiced the last 2 days, I think. I'm pretty sure they returned on like Thursday or Wednesday or something.
So what do you got, man? I'll preface this. I love the spread. I love the Eagles plus 5.5.
I don't know, man. There's a lot of
win.
Yeah, there's a lot of things I'm looking at here. I mean, you talk about Minshew. He actually played Dallas last season at the end of the year, a game that meant nothing. We ended up losing 51-26, but we didn't play our starters. He had 2 touchdowns, 1 interception, 186 yards, 19 for 33. And then you talked about Dallas Goedert connection last season against the Jets. I mean, he's back today. That we're kind of haven't even talked about in reality. He has, he's up over 500 receiving yards. He averages 12.7 yards per catch this season. 6 receptions, 105 yards, 2 touchdowns with Minshew last year, the one time he played with him. I think Goddard could have a big day today. No Leighton Vander Esch for the Cowboys. They're missing their middle linebacker there, so that's going to be a big hole. The opposite corner, I believe his name's Anthony Brown, opposite of Trevon Diggs, out. So I know they were having some trouble in their secondary last week. Bland, he's a rookie. He's kind of been hyped up by the Cowboys. He has success in the slot, from what I understand. Kelvin Joseph got benched last week. He was a replacement for Anthony Brown. He got benched last week against, I believe he was getting cooked by Zay Jones last week. So my thoughts here, Bland versus Smitty. Are you going to have a rookie guarding Smitty, Trevon Diggs on A.J. Brown? So they got secondary issues. You got issues in your linebacking core. No Leighton Vander Esch. That's kind of the middle linebacker, the key.
Pretty I know
Donovan Wilson comes up and plays a little bit of linebacker.
And the bottom line is your pass rush has not been as effective as it was early in the season.
It has not. 4 sacks in the last 3 games for the Cowboys pass rush. 19 sacks for the Eagles pass rush in the last 3 games. So on different trends, right? Trajectories in this.
What do you always say, Scotty? What do you always tell them? There's levels to this shit, brother.
There's levels, man. There's levels, right? There's levels to what's going on here. And I think, looking at all of this, everything I just said, 10 interceptions from Dak since he's returned. That leads the NFL. 7 interceptions in the last 4 games. Eagles number 1 in turnovers when you talk about their defense. This all points to the Eagles, man. And it also points to who can control the trenches. I think that starts with the Eagles. The Eagles are the team with the offensive line that made the Pro Bowl, the all-pro offensive line, right? Every single starter in the Pro Bowl, rush. Alternative or starter. Pass rush, the entire defensive line in the Pro Bowl, alternative or starter. So it's the Eagles that own the trenches today. It's the Eagles, I feel, that have the chip on their shoulder based on what the Cowboys have been saying, what they've been talking. And it almost feels like the Cowboys are not even ready for this game. That's what it feels like to me. It feels like they are not even ready for this game. You're coming off blowing a lead to the Jacksonville Jaguars. I'm sorry, the Jacksonville Jaguars, they're on a nice trend right now. That ain't it, right? Not a 17-point blown lead. These trajectories are pointing to the Eagles for me, Dylan, and I'm feeling fairly confident that the Eagles are going to come out and win this game and spoil Christmas for the Cowboys.
and make our Christmas, right? But do you remember Thanksgiving Day a couple years back when Mark Sanchez, the Sanchez, got the start in Dallas and spoiled their Thanksgiving? Eerily similar type of situation.
Jeff Garcia did it a few years back. Backup quarterback comes in.
So I'm with you, man. I have an eerily positive vibe, and maybe that is because we know we can fall back on the fact that we do not have Jalen Hurts. Yeah.
We got nothing to lose. The Eagles have nothing to lose today. They can go out there and play free. Gardner Minshew, what's he doing? Maybe he does have a little pressure, but that doesn't hurt Gardner Minshew, I feel.
He goes out there today. A bag.
He's playing for a starting job next year. If he can come out and not light up the Cowboys, but maybe throw for 200 yards, 2 touchdowns, no turnovers, beat the Cowboys, you're going to be talking about him, New Orleans? Yeah. Shit, the Jets. Like, you know what I mean? Like, this is what we're looking at here.
Yeah, especially because he could end up starting the next week or two if they win this game because they don't need Jalen. So
opportunities.
If you take care of business today, it allows you to get those more opportunities and showcase what you can do for another franchise next year and maybe get yourself a little extra coin, right? So I'm going to go with a W today, man. Looking across the rest of the slate, we can always come back to that if we want to, but looking across the rest of the slate.
I just wanted to say, you look at just as far as we talked a lot about the Eagles, you look at the Cowboys side of things. What are they facing, right? Yes, they need to win the game to stay in the race. Do they really think they're going to win the NFC East to stay in the race? Sure. What's the real motivation? It's embarrassment. They have to come out here and not get embarrassed. When have they ever shied away from embarrassment in the past? That's where I'm at with the Cowboys. That's where I'm at.
That's the exact point. How is anybody supposed to take you seriously if you lose this game today? You already dropped the first one. Yes, with your backup, I get that. Now your defensive player of the year speaks on Jalen Hurts' name. You're not focused. You lose a game to Jacksonville the week before in that fashion, and you come out and you lose at home on Christmas Eve versus the backup. How's anybody supposed to take you seriously going forward? I don't care if you're the 5 seed. I don't care what the case is. You're frauds. It's that simple. So it is a must win from that standpoint, just a confidence standpoint from the Cowboys today.
100%.
Kind of go a little bit rapid fire through these first couple games here, Scotty. Atlanta in Baltimore. And by the way, every game today is supposed to be ridiculous weather. It's like 9 degrees here.
Windy.
Florida's 35. Texas is like 20 something, which like it just doesn't happen, right? So every game you have the Baltimore, Carolina, Chicago, Cleveland, Kansas City, New England, all just freezing.
Even
Pittsburgh tonight, freezing cold weather. How that affects things is yet to be seen. But let's start with Atlanta and Baltimore. No Lamar Jackson. I got to go with the Ravens in this one. The only way that the Falcons have a chance with Desmond Ridder is if they can move the football on the ground. Baltimore is a top 3 run defense. It's at home. It's in that kind of weather. I know it's Tyler Huntley. I still expect Baltimore to get their 10th win today.
Yeah, I'm with you on Baltimore. They're 9-5. They need a bounce back win, right? They had a little bit of a letdown last week. You talk about going against the Atlanta Falcons. That's a team that's kind of going nowhere right now, right? They switched to Desmond Ridder. He's not much better. Kyle Pitts done for the season. So Atlanta's really just not playing for much at this point, I feel. Baltimore, they're playing for everything right now, right? They're playing for the playoffs. And Tyler Huntley isn't that bad, I feel, right? He can get a home. He can get a win at home and control the run game today. I think that he can do enough with his legs. I do think the 6.5 point spread, it's a little wide for me. I think it's going to be a close game. Every game with the Ravens is close, but I do think the Ravens come out on top.
Yeah, no, I'm with you, man. Moving on to the next game. This game's a little interesting, right? Because technically the home team has a chance to still win their division. And then the other team is fighting for that 6 or 7 spot. Red hot. Detroit in Carolina. The spread's a little weird. The spread is kind of telling you to lean Carolina's favor.
Yeah,
I'm still rolling with Jared Goff and the Detroit Lions today. I think even though they're not the same offense on the road as they are at home, especially in this cold weather today down south, I still think they'll find enough success to find a way to win today. What do you got?
Yeah. I'm on the Detroit Lions today. I think they're hot right now. They're playing really good football. I think it could come down to a close game. I think Carolina's defense is really sturdy. They've been playing better, especially in the second half of the season. But I still think Detroit's offense, they have a lot of talent, a lot of weapons. As long as Jared Goff isn't out there basically throwing the ball to the other team, right, having any type of blunders, I think the Detroit Lions can take care of these lesser offenses. I think they'll be able to score enough points, right? Race to 20. I think Detroit can beat you there.
Yeah, no, I agree with you there.
Detroit.
So 2 for Baltimore, 2 for Detroit here. Let's go to the Windy City, Buffalo in Chicago. Again, I know with the weather, there's some people thinking that, oh, maybe Justin Fields can find himself to have a day. No, that's not happening, because if Justin Fields having a day, I promise you Josh Allen's having a day, if not through the air, definitely on the ground against that defense. I got Buffalo, and I got Buffalo in big fashion. I do think that they cover the 8 probably.
Yeah, I do have Buffalo here. Obviously, it's in Chicago. They're going to be playing in that cold weather. You saw the Eagles started out slow in that cold weather, but Buffalo lives in the cold weather as well, up there in upstate New York. So I think Bills will be fine. If they need to run the football, they will. They've been more prone to running the football in the last few weeks anyways, and I think they take care of business. Their defense, the Eagles had a little bit of a blunder last week, right? 25-20, only a 5-point win. Didn't really run the football. I don't think Buffalo makes that mistake. Also think their defense can lock in on Justin Fields and contain him in a sense.
Agreed, man. So 3 for 3 so far. Head over to Cleveland. The Saints have a chance to get to 6-9 and kind of compete for that NFC South title against Tampa Bay.
You mean 7 today? Oh, you said the Saints. Excuse me.
Yeah, the Saints. And then the 6-8 Cleveland Browns. Deshaun Watson getting his 3rd start. Nick Chubb a little banged up, but he is playing today. I'm leaning Browns in this one. I know the spread's 3.5.
Who's starting at quarterback for New Orleans? Is it still Andy Dalton?
I believe so. And that is the main reason why I had the New Orleans Saints. I had the Cleveland Browns today. So I got Cleveland in this one.
Yeah, I'm going Cleveland in this one. I think as Deshaun Watson continues to get more reps, continues to get more flow with that offense, he's going to get better, right? He's going to get more acclimated. So I think the Browns, we could see them get better as the season goes on towards the end. I don't think they're going to make a playoff push or anything like that. But nonetheless, get to 8 wins, get to 9 wins on the season. That's not bad when you have Deshaun Watson out for 10 games and you've been playing with Jacoby Brissett. So that would be somewhat of a successful season, I feel, for the Browns. But nonetheless, I just like where they're going versus where the Saints are at right now. The Saints they can't tank, right? So they're going to play hard, but, they're just not a good team. They don't have a quarterback, and it continues to show throughout the season. No Chris Olave in this one either, so you're down weapons.
Yeah. Kamara hasn't looked the same. I think that Cleveland pass rush with Myles Garrett can kind of affect Andy Dalton's play today, and we'll see what happens there. I know Cleveland struggles against the run a little bit. Man, I just thought, I know they have Kamara. I sat Alvin Kamara in my fantasy championship for that reason. He should have a good game today. They don't give him his opportunities. They run the ball to Taysom Hill for no apparent reason. They do too much. They overthink a lot of things. And when you have Andy Dalton, he's basically
a decoy at this point, right? He's just out there and not getting the touches. And if he does,
it's ridiculous.
The defense is all over him. It's what happens when you have a one-dimensional offense, right?
No, it's ridiculous. Moving on to the next game in Arrowhead, Seattle against Kansas City. No Tyler Lockett for the Seahawks. Obviously, Geno makes the Pro Bowl. Congratulations to Geno Smith there. Pretty awesome to see him come back this year. But Kansas City has struggled over the last 2 weeks. You and I talked about that. I don't think they struggle today. Not in that weather. Seattle wants no part of this cold weather today. Kansas City, I like the under in this game. I like Patty. I like Kelsey in this game. Pacheco, maybe. I like the Chiefs, and I like the Chiefs by a lot, Scotty.
Yeah, I'm all over the Chiefs in this game. I think it's somewhat of a bounce back game, right? They haven't lost anything, but nonetheless had 2 close games, a game that goes to overtime against the worst team in football. So I think they come back at home tonight against not tonight, but today against the Seattle Seahawks and grab the W. Like you said, Patrick Mahomes should have whatever he wants out there, I would imagine. I think it's time for Kansas City to turn up, or maybe if they don't do it today, then when are they going to do it, right? If they don't turn things around from the way they've been playing. So I think
we're getting mightily close to January in playoff football. So you want to be playing your best over the next couple of weeks. And this is a big game for them, I think, to show off and show out. This game's interesting, man. In Minnesota, Giants, this is one of those games that's not going to be affected by the cold weather, right? Because it is in that dome. Could be a situation for Saquon and the Giants to kind of be able to do some things offensively against that Minnesota defense. But coming off that high of all highs, the largest comeback in NFL history, I don't think they get down to a team like that again at home. Do I think that the Vikings are semi-fraudulent? Yes, I do. You and I have talked about that. Obviously, seeing them play the way they did against the Eagles and the Cowboys. But I do think that they take care of business ultimately today against the Giants.
I'm leaning the Vikings in this one, so I'll make that clear from the jump. But I do think there's an opportunity for a letdown for them. Just from what you said there, you had the greatest comeback of all time, right, in NFL history last week. You're down 33-0 to the Colts at home. You get the Giants, and the Giants, I think, are actually turning a little bit of a leaf here. I think they're just playing a little bit better. Saquon's healthier, so you can kind of rely on him a lot more. Versus what they had been doing in the previous 2 to 3 weeks. So I don't know. I still like the Vikings at home against the Giants. I'm still not a true believer in the Giants by any means, but I do see this as a game where the Vikings could come out and have a letdown. You talk about previous examples, right? When they beat the Bills, they came back and beat the Bills in overtime. Then the very next week, they come out and lay 3 points against the Cowboys, 40-3. So it's like, we've seen them do it before. We've seen them be frauds before. So, like, I'm not going to pick the Giants to win today, but definitely keep your eyes open on that game, I would say.
Yeah, no, I think it's definitely one of the better games on this slate in terms of record, playoff implications, stuff like that. Another game with playoff implications out in the AFC, Cincinnati heading to Foxborough. New England 7-7 coming off of, we just mentioned the largest comeback in NFL history, the dumbest, stupidest, most horrific ending to a game, a way to lose a game. New England's coming off of that. I believe that Joe Burrow and the Bengals are 19-3 in their last 22 games against the spread. They are 3-point favorites today in Foxborough. That line's a little weird. I don't love how close it is, but I still do like the Bengals, and I like the Bengals to cover today. I think that offense is too much, even for the great Bill Belichick to handle, right? And we talk a lot about this Bengals defense. I don't see any way, shape, or form that bland, boring, argumentative Mac Jones and Matt Patricia offense get things going for New England today.
Yeah, I think Cincinnati comes out and lays the Patriots down today. I honestly think the spread is ridiculous. I think Cincinnati should be favored by more. Even being on the road, I think everything that the Patriots think they can do, the Cincinnati Bengals can do better. Their defense is better. Their run game, I would say, is better because you have the balance of the passing attack.
Weapons by a million.
So you look at the weather, you're like, oh, can Cincinnati play they're in the Midwest. It's pretty cold in Cincinnati as well.
They play in Pittsburgh and Baltimore.
I don't look at that as much of a detractor here. I think Cincinnati comes out, takes care of business. Main thing, like you said, the defense straps New England down. Not only was that the dumbest play in like all of time, all of the NFL history, it also ended the Patriots season because when you do something that stupid to lose a game, you no longer deserve to win any more. And I think that starts today. Cincinnati gets 7 in a row.
I agree. Real quick pick on this one. Houston, Tennessee. I got the Titans. This game stinks. No Ryan Tannehill. But ultimately, I think Derrick Henry has a day today. I like the Titans in this one.
I'm going to go Titans, but just watch out, man. Malik Willis turns the ball over twice or something.
Yeah.
We've seen the Texans take the Cowboys and the Chiefs to the wire the last 2 weeks. Maybe they're due for a win. Maybe they're due for a blowout.
Or maybe that
loss.
was
Who
them
knows?
shooting. Yeah. I agree. Getting into the 4 o'clock slate, Washington in San Fran to take on Brock Purdy. Who you got in this one?
This one's interesting, man. This one's very interesting. You got Chase Young returning today, so you got an added feature to that pass rush from Washington's side. We've seen what Washington's been able to do in the second half of the season with Taylor Heineke, focusing on the run. They kind of got, I guess you could say they got screwed out of that game against the Giants. I'm not going to sit here and cry for them, but they did get a little screwed there, so maybe they come out and play tough. San Fran defense, man. No, not a chance, Washington. I mean, maybe Washington comes out and scores and does their thing. I don't see it. This San Fran defense, we talked about it earlier in the week, top 2, if not the best defense in the NFL, right? They're going to strap Washington down at the end of the day. I think Washington's defense could give San Fran a little trouble just with that pass rush, but not enough to disrupt this game or ultimately get Washington a win. I think San Fran covers here as well, 6.5.
I agree. I like San Fran in this one. I know there are some people that think, oh, maybe this could be a little bit of a not get right game, but at least for Washington to cover. I don't know, man. I don't know how Heineke moves the ball on the road in San Fran, Christmas Eve. I don't see the vibes here tonight. Yeah, I really do.
They turn the ball over.
So I like San Fran to cover in this one. Looking at tonight,
I'm with you.
In Pittsburgh, Vegas versus the Steelers. Obviously, the Raiders were the beneficiaries of the dumbest loss ever. And then you have the Steelers with a lot of questions at the quarterback position, a lot of injuries and turnover there, right? Who do you got in this one? This game's weird to me. This is the first underdog that I like today outside of Philly. It's only plus 115 on the money line, so I think it's only like a 2-point spread or something, but I'm leaning Raiders right now.
Yeah, I'm leaning Raiders as well. It's just that Pittsburgh offense, right? That Pittsburgh offense just is all over the place for me. Najee Harris up and down. Deontay Johnson at 1 week he's involved. Next 2 weeks he's not. Haven't heard from George Pickens in a while, right? Freiermuth has been. Yeah, so I mean this Pittsburgh offense. I don't even know who's playing quarterback. Is it Kenny Pickett or Mitchell Trubisky? Because I know Kenny Pickett's been injured. Honestly, either one, I don't have faith in either. I think Raiders pass rush will be able to get after the quarterback in this game. Pittsburgh, obviously getting TJ Watt back. Their defense has been a lot more sturdy of late. So I don't think it's going to be, Las Vegas coming out and laying the lumber to Pittsburgh, but I think they get the W. Looks like Pittsburgh's a 2-point favorite, and I would take Las Vegas in that. Cover the spread and win the game, honestly.
Yeah, no, I agree with you on this one, man. And getting into tomorrow, since we will not be live on Christmas morning, these games
be hungover.
These games were supposed to be interesting to watch on Christmas Day. Obviously, that's why they were slated here. Injuries, underachievement, whatever you want to call it. But the best game of the day is the first game of the day, and that being Aaron Rodgers and the Packers to take on the Dolphins. Obviously, Rodgers and the Packers get that win on Monday Night Football. Oh, can they make the playoffs? Can they win out? Miami on a 3-game losing streak? Absolutely not. In Miami, I think this offense explodes. I think Cheetah, Waddle, I think they all go off. Jeff Wilson may be back this weekend as well. I got the Dolphins in this one. I think they cover as well.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of talk, people thinking that, Green Bay can basically pull an upset here, or a miracle, a Christmas miracle for the Green Bay Packers and Aaron Rodgers.
If it was in Lambeau
season, why do we believe that? You know what I mean? It hasn't. Yeah, that's a good point. Maybe if it was in Lambeau,
freezing cold,
make it closer.
Yeah.
Even in that instance, we saw the way Miami was able to play up in Buffalo in snow. So I still like Miami no matter what in this one. They've lost 3 in a row. They got to get a W if they want to keep their standing in the playoffs, right? So they have to come out, put their best foot forward. And I just think the Dolphins have a lot more talent, right? Yeah. They have a lot more talent. They're due for a lot more, I feel, than the Packers as well. I like the Miami Dolphins to win this one and cover and completely end the Aaron Rodgers season there.
Okay. Extreme rapid fire. Broncos, Rams. Who you got?
Denver. I'm gonna go Denver defense.
Wow. All right. I guess so. I don't even know what to say about this one. I agree. They are a top 5, top 6 unit in the league.
Baker
third string quarterback. I don't know. I guess I'll go with the Broncos. Maybe they turn Baker over. Who
doesn't matter?
Yeah, I don't know. So sure, I'll go Denver. I'm not touching
Rams don't have any first round picks.
Last game of the Sunday slate to wrap up this weekend. Tampa Bay and Tom Brady in Arizona to take on a third string quarterback who I do not know the name of either. I'll go Bucks in this one. They really haven't shown me much to be positive in them. But when you're talking, Trace McSorley. When you're talking about a third string quarterback, Sunday Night Football and Christmas, they need this win to maintain their lead in their division. I'll go with Tom Brady and the Bucks.
Yeah, I think Tampa Bay got blessed in a sense with this game on the schedule. Kyler Murray out for season. Because honestly, if Kyler was in, I would be tempted to take the Cardinals in this one. But nonetheless, I am going to go Tampa Bay. I do think the 7.5-point spread is funny. I think it's funny. I think they could cover. There's a chance, right? You're going against a third string quarterback. The defense can bounce back this week after blowing a 17-point lead. But 7.5 points on the road, I think it's funny that they would give them that spread and give them that benefit of the doubt.
Yeah.
But like, maybe why? They do. Why? Maybe they do cover. Yeah, why is it 7.5? I don't understand that.
Yeah, no, I agree with you, man. That wraps up the slate. Now let's get to the best part of our day. Now we set aside Sunday plays. We'll throw those out tomorrow on our TikTok, YouTube, and Twitter channels. But for today, we have a jam-packed Saturday slate. It's basically your Sunday, right? You got 3 games tomorrow. Yeah. It's last weekend, but reversed. This is your Sunday football today, right? So 6 best bets for your Christmas Eve. Liking today, we're going to start it off with the one game we broke down in Foxborough. We like the Bengals -3 at -105 today. I'm going to hammer their money line as well because it's not that much of a drop off money line wise, but I think that they do cover. Like I said, they're 19-3 or something crazy like that in their last 22 against the spread. You mentioned it, the way that New England collapsed last week in just horrifying fashion. Worst loss in NFL history or way to lose a game, right? You don't bounce back from that. Your playoff hopes are done. And the Bengals are cruising right now. So Bengals -3 is our first play. Looking down, we got a lot of receptions in this one, man. And I like it. A lot of guys that should be targeted today. Christian McCaffrey over 4.5 receptions at -125 on DraftKings Sportsbook today. Obviously, still no Deebo Samuel. A little bit of a pass rush getting Chase Young back for Washington. It's at home. Look for Purdy to rely on CMC today. They use him out of the backfield, screens. They put him in the slot. They line him up out wide for slants. They do a lot with this dude. He's basically almost a lock for 6, 7, 8 catches a game. I like him to get 5 today. We like him to get 5 today, I should say. Another guy that's a pass catching back out of the backfield. He's not going to get the goal line carries for you, but hopefully against the Carolina defense on the road, they give them the ball out of the backfield. DeAndre Swift over 3.5 receptions at +110. It's our highest juice of the day. And what did you say Swift had last week, Scotty, reception wise?
He had 9 targets last week and he had 5 receptions. So he's getting more and more healthy, more and more implemented, and on those passing downs, he's going to be out there.
I like it. Swift 4+ catches today. Going back to that Cincinnati game in Foxborough, Joe Burrow over 1.5 passing touchdowns. This almost feels too good to be true. -130. The juice isn't fantastic, but I love Burrow to get 2 in the end zone today. Chase, Higgins, Boyd, obviously no Hayden Hurst. Two of those guys are going to score in my opinion today. I'll skip down. Justin Jefferson over 6.5 receptions at -150. It's our largest in terms of plus-minus today. That's another one that just feels so good to get. Right. Against the Giants team that's struggling right now. Obviously, you saw Terry McLaurin have a slow start, but obviously pick things up in the second half. I don't expect Justin Jefferson to have a slow start. I think, Jettis goes out and gets his today. And then to wrap it up with our Eagles, it was a trend we talked about throughout the game, breaking that one down. Dallas Goedert's connection with Gardner Minshew last year and in practice throughout the week. His first game back, you texted me it. Honestly, guys, we both like Dallas Goedert to score a touchdown today, but we're going to go with Dallas Goedert over 39.5 receiving yards at -130. He averages 60, 70 yards a game when he's healthy. First game back, that connection, backup QB, it's always a security blanket. Yeah. Dallas's linebackers are one of the weakest parts in coverage of their defense. Yeah. I like Goddard to get 40+ yards today. Those are our 6 best bets for Christmas Eve, Scotty.
Yes, sir.
Honestly, we're probably like 11 more we could give out, but
there was a ton out there, man.
You gotta
pick
and choose, right?
Saquon over 3.5 receptions. I like that one against Minnesota.
I think I like Nick Chubb to find the end zone.
Yeah. Nick Chubb is a good bet every week. I actually like T. Higgins in that New England game as well. Second wide receiver 2 going against the number 2 corner. Big lengthy receiver in the cold. I actually like Higgins a lot today. But I absolutely loved a lot of the props today because the matchups aren't the greatest, but there's a lot of easy plays I feel in there. If you guys just go and look through them, we found a ton. We decided to settle on those 6. But do you have any Eagles plays? Specific?
No, I don't. I'm going to wait to get through this 1:00 slate and kind of get into that. I love the Goddard yards. We mentioned the touchdown. I also like Miles Sanders over 65 or 64.5 rushing yards today.
Yeah.
Miles Sanders maybe to score as well. Either one of those plays, I'm all over because I think those two are going to be relied upon the most today with Gardner Minshew.
Yeah. My play of the day for the Eagles game, I'll give it out now because I already laid it. It's
okay.
what I've been talking about all week, I feel.
Yeah.
Philadelphia money line. So I got Eagles winning. Minshew, 200-plus passing yards, and Miles Sanders, 50-plus rushing yards. Comes out to plus 300.
That. Wow.
Yeah, so that's kind of my safe play. I guess Minshew, the win would be the hardest, I guess, since they are underdogs in this game. But Minshew, 200, that would probably be the second hardest there. And then I do have I laid the Goddard touchdown. I have a sneaky Smitty play as well, plus 525. Smitty over 70 yards.
Yes, sir.
Sneaky Smitty, skinny Batman. Smitty touchdown, Smitty 70-plus receiving yards. There's part of me there has a mismatch, rookie corner or Kelvin Joseph, who got benched last week. On top of him just needing, 99 yards to get to 1,000. I think they do want to get Smitty there. So we'll see. We'll see, though.
Love it. Love it. Love it. We're just over the hour mark here on NFL Turf Talk on DSM Media, guys. That is going to wrap up this Christmas Eve edition of the show. Don't forget to check all of our great shows out at DSM_media on Twitter. Hit that follow button. The link tree in our bio to take it to every social media platform. We are available on TikTok, IG, Facebook. We're all over the place. But most importantly, check out the YouTube channel. It's the best place to get your thoughts, comments, and questions pulled up and be interactive with us on each and every show. Hit that subscribe button, like this video, whatever you got to do. We greatly appreciate it. For myself, for Scotty, have a Merry Christmas and have a great rest of your weekend.
Go Birds!